I am just going to go back to the local repository for developer A, and I'm going to open up my or my cars.txt, right? Because the feature branch is actually for cars.txt. So let me open up my cars.txt in the local repository for developer A. So if I open this up now, we can see that yes, we have the two new things that were introduced earlier by developer B. Okay. So that means now, basically, there are two options for developer A to check the changes that were made by developer B. So option number one is developer A can just go back to their Bitbucket web page, and they can just directly click here and look at the changes. So like here, you can see what are the changes. You can see a div, right? So you can directly inspect all the commits on the new branch in the web page itself. Okay, so this is one way. All right, so this is possible, right? You can go here. You can go into the feature new cars branch, and then you can see what are the commits in the feature new cars branch, and you can click on all these commits and you can inspect them in your web page. So that's the first option. The second option is you download that new branch that is in a remote repository to your local repository, which is what I did just now, right? All these operations is to download that new branch, the feature new cars branch. The new branch, I've downloaded it to my local repository, and now it's in my local repository. I can just use my IDE, open up that file and examine the content of the file. Okay, so either way is fine. Any questions on this part? Okay, so now we go on to the next step. So the next step now is developer A already is able to see the latest feature branch, all the code in the latest feature branch. So now we are going to simulate the process of what happens in a real pull request, which is that both the developers or all the developers in the team are going to exchange comments on that pull request. Okay, and this one has nothing to do with Git. This one is more to do with documentation, software project documentation, because we need to document what were the comments made on this particular feature branch before it was merged back into the master branch. This is like a track record, so that when we analyze the history of our software project, we can know what were the comments or what were the concerns that developers had on this particular feature branch before we merge it into the master branch. Okay, so this has nothing to do with Git. This is more of documentation for our own quality control purposes. Okay, so now let's pretend that developer A has got some comments to give to developer B. So let's say these are the comments. Okay, right? So let's say now developer A now wants to put in this comment. So let's go back to developer A's window now. We'll go back to the pull request. Okay, we'll click on feature new cars here. And now you are going to go back now, and here this is your response, right? This is the original message from developer B. Now developer A, the project lead, is going to put in a response, and the response will be, the initial cars look good. I'll just copy the whole thing now, okay? So just to make it easier. So this is just, you know, an example of a comment. I'll just copy the whole thing, and we'll just paste this inside here. All right, so we're just saying, hey, you know what? The initial cars look good. How about adding a few more local cars? 2 cars might be too few for our client requirements. Okay, so that is what you can do. And then you can go ahead and click add comment now. And now you can see, right, Mark Lerner commented now, the initial cars look good, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we can see the history of the conversation. Victor Tan was the one who opened the pull request. Then Mark Lerner put in this comment. Okay. Now, if we go back to developer B's email address, there will be something that will be saying, okay. Yeah, there will be something that will say, you know what? There is now a comment that came back from developer A, and this is the comment from developer A, which is the initial cars look good. How about adding a few more local cars? 2 cars might be too few for our client requirements. Okay. So now we go back to developer B. So developer B, again, we'll just continue lah. So you can just refresh this page. If you want, you can just click on the pull request again, maybe. Click on this. And now I should be able to see developer A's response. So now I can type in my own response. So let's say my response I'm going to type in is like this. I'll say, how many cars do you think is ideal? What kind of cars? So this is coming from developer B, right? So this is the response that is going back to developer A. So I can go ahead, click add comment now, and now we can see. So this is Victor Tan's comment. How many more cars do you think we ideal? What kind of cars? So yeah, basically it's like a conversation thread, right? It's like an email thread. You can keeping track of what all the developers comment, right? So we can just continue like this, right? If you want, we can just pretend, right? Like this. So developer A is, okay, how about forecast, blah, blah, blah. Developer B says blah, 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 blah. Then developer A says blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's just pretend this is go back and forth. So now let's say developer A puts in this comment. So we go back here. This is go back to developer A's web page here. So this is developer A here. We'll refresh developer A. Okay, so developer A will put in this comment here. And the comment is, wait, hang on, right click, paste. But how about forecast? Could we add in an EV as well? And then we click add comment now. Okay, so that will be a comment from developer A. Now developer B's turn to put in a comment. So again, I refresh this page. And now I can see the comment from developer A. So now developer B puts in their own comment. I don't think Malaysia has an EV yet. Baroda is one in the pipeline, but won't be ready until the next 10 years. Okay, so this is the comment from developer B. So let's go ahead and paste that in here. Okay, then we go ahead and click add comment now. And now we go back to developer A. So you kind of understand what's going on here, right? It's not that difficult. We just have a back and forth, okay, comments between all the developers in the team. Okay, so you just pretend we have this back and forth. Okay, so now this is the latest one. And finally, developer A will say, okay, right? Developer A is the boss. He's going to say, let's keep it at 4 first. Let's add in more if more client requests. Can you start working on it now? So this is the command from developer A, right? Command is, let's stop wasting time talking about this. I want you to work on it. All right, so add comment now. Okay, so now this comment is coming from developer A, the boss. Is telling developer B, please shut up and start working on the code right now. So developer B is now going to, or developer A now is going to say, I want developer B to make some more changes. Okay, so this is like an official record, right? Developer developer A is the big boss. So developer A, the big boss, is now officially saying, I am asking you, developer B, to continue to make further changes to your feature branch because I'm not happy with it. So I click this, and then this will think blah blah blah. It will request the changes, and now you see there will be changes requested. Okay, so now if we go back to developer B's, click on pull request, you will now see that there is this thing here that says Mark Lerner, who is developer A, the big boss, has just told you, hey, I want you to make your code changes. Okay, so that is clearly shown there. And if you click on your feature new cars here, and you look at your activity on the right here, let me see where is the in the activity list on the right hand side. Okay, we go to pull requests. Yeah, we go to the activity list. It's not showing up here. Let me see whether we can see this on right hand corner of the view for that specific pull request. Let me see here whether we can see this. Okay, sorry, here. Yeah, maybe it's here. Is it here? Yeah. Okay, should be somewhere around here. Let me see whether you can see it or not. Okay, maybe it's not coming out. Okay, doesn't matter. There should be somewhere, I think maybe the UI has changed a bit since the last workshop, but there should be somewhere where you can see this. There's a requested changes. So anyway, developer B will know that developer A has requested the changes. Okay, so now it's back to developer B. So developer B has got a request from developer A to say, hey, you got to change this. I don't like it. So now let's go back to developer B now. Let's switch back to developer B's bash shell now. So now developer B's turn now is, okay, now I got to make those changes that's requested by developer A, right? So what did developer A ask me to do? Put in some local cars, right? So let me switch over to my cars.txt. So this is my cars.txt for developer B. Okay, so now I have got my Honda and Mercedes. This is my original state of my feature new cars branch. And so now I need to add in these two additional things because that is what my boss asked me to do, right? My boss is developer A. So now developer B goes back to their code IDE, adds in that two new lines of code, save it. After saving it, you just commit it in the usual way, and then you type in this command to commit it. All right, so you say git commit -am. So let's go ahead now. Now we are in developer B's window. So remember, I'm in developer B's window. I say git commit -am, added two new cars as per request by developer A, like this. Press enter, and this is now committed. I do a git status, make sure I've committed it, and now I have got a new commit added to my branch. I need to update this new commit to my remote repository. How do I do this? It's very simple. We already have a remote tracking branch. To update, I just type git push, git push. All right, that's so simple. Git push will just push the latest update, which is this one single commit, up to my remote repository. And this will either ask me for a password or it will do it automatically for me. So here it seems to be doing it automatically for me. If it's asking you for a password, then type in the password for developer B. Okay. Okay, any questions on this part? So all of you can do this, right? You should be able to do a push. Anyone cannot do a push? Okay, so everybody was able to do a push. So the push is now up to there. The push is successful. Okay, so now we head back down here again. And now we check the git status. We have done a push. Now we just go back and refresh the home page again. So we can just check to make sure that latest commit is in. So if I click on commits here and we go to your feature new cars branch, you should now be able to see that new commit that I just pushed up, right? So in both developer B's window and also developer A's window, we should definitely be able to see this thing. Okay, and if we go back to the pull request as well, and we check on this feature new cars, all right, I think we should have an update. No, it doesn't have an update, doesn't matter. You can see which are the files that have been changed, and we can see what are the commits dismissed, and see what are the commits that have been added. So we can see the files have been changed. The latest change was adding in the Perodua and Proton and also the commits. Okay, so we can keep track of that and so on. Okay, so maybe we can continue this discussion, but let's pretend that everybody is okay with it now. So there is one more part here which is about merging, caching and clearing the app password, but this one I think we do not need to do this. I'll just skip this. But if you want to know, this is just so that you can cache your app password so you don't have to keep typing it in over and over again, right? So if you want to do that, you can go through this command here to teach you how to do that. Okay, so this is how to cache your app password. But now let's say now we are very happy now. Okay, and that means developer A at this point of time is kind of happy with the changes that was made by developer B. So now developer A, what developer A wants to do is they want to merge the updates from the upstream back to their local branch. Okay, so now go back to developer A, go back to developer A now. And no, now this is in developer A's shell. So in developer A shell, we are going to go back to our feature new branch by typing this command. So we go back here, we say git checkout, okay, feature new cars. Okay, press enter, and then this is basically telling you actually your branch is up to date, which is actually not true. So the git checkout command is telling developer A that your branch is actually up to date with the remote one, but actually technically speaking that's not really true right now, because we already remember we put in a new commit there, right? That new commit is actually not shown up yet. So we actually have to do a git fetch first to see the latest status. So we have to do in developer A special, we have to do a git fetch. Okay, this might take some time. And again, if there is a kind of password thing that comes out, then no problem. You can go back here and copy the add password that you created for developer A. You can copy that and then kind of paste this into here and then press the enter key, and then it will fetch it. Okay, now after you do the fetch, if you do a git status, it will actually tell you that your feature new cast is one commit behind the remote one, right? The remote one. So remember, the remote one, just now we just added in one new commit, right? That was added in by developer B, right? That was added in by developer B. Right now, that hasn't been downloaded yet to my developer A's local repository. So when I do a git fetch and I do a git status, okay, git tells me that your local feature new cast branch is behind the remote feature new cast branch by one commit. Okay, so to update it, we can do a git pull. Okay, now there are two ways to do this. One is we can do a git pull directly, okay, or we can do a git fetch first and then we do a merge. So let's do the slightly longer way first and then we do the shorter way. Okay, so we've done the git first fetch, we've done the git status. Okay, so now let's actually do, okay, let's first check out this thing. So we say git checkout origin feature new cast. So this is basically telling me I want to switch to the remote tracking branch for this branch. So I go ahead and do this right now. I say git checkout and I say origin feature slash new cast. So I go ahead and say origin slash feature slash new cast like this. All right. And so this one means I'm switching to the remote tracking branch, which will put me into the detached head state, okay, because this is not a normal branch, okay. And then what I can do is now that I've switched to this, I can actually just check out the thing by saying git log --1 line. So when I type here git log --1 line, what I'm actually saying is the latest changes from the remote repository using my remote tracking branch. Okay, but I still haven't merged it back into my local branch yet. So all I'm doing is I'm just saying I want to inspect the latest changes to this branch in the remote repository, but I still have not, or I'm still not ready to merge it into my local branch yet. Okay, so if I am ready to merge it into my local branch, okay, so before we merge it, maybe you want to check what is the difference, right? So let me just show you how to check. So one thing you will normally do is before you merge anything from an upstream branch, before you take the latest changes from the upstream branch and you merge them into your local branches, you can compare them. So you can go back to your local branch first, and then you can do a diff between your local branch and the latest changes to the remote branch. Okay, that's the purpose of these two commands. So you change back to your local branch, feature new cast, and then you check what is the difference between your local branch and the remote branch. So in other words, you're trying to see what are the latest changes that happen in the remote branch. Okay, so let's do that right now. So we change back now to my local branch. So I say git checkout feature slash new cast. Okay, so now I'm back to my local branch, and now I say git diff. I'm going to compare my local branch feature slash new cast with my remote branch. So my remote branch, to access it, I use my remote tracking branch, which is like this. So I'm saying, what is the difference now between the local version of feature new cast and the remote version of new cast? What is the difference? So when I press enter, I can now tell me, if you look at the diff here, we now know that the feature new cast branch that is on the remote repository, it now has 2 additional lines of code. Okay, so this is what I know now. Developer A knows this. Of course, you can also know this, like if developer A were to just go back to the commits for your feature newcast branch, you can clearly see this, right? If you go back to your feature newcast branch on your web page and you click on this commit here, you can see this commit basically is adding in these two new lines of code, right? So you can actually see it from here, and you can also check it from your browser view here as well. So you see either way also can, right? I'm just showing you multiple ways to do the same thing, right? So either from your bash shell or from your browser window, you can know that the latest commit that was added to this branch, what it did was it added two additional new lines of code. So you can actually verify that from this window here, or you can also verify it from here as well, from your bash shell. Either way. Okay, so now let's say you are happy, you have already checked what is the difference in this new commit, like what's the new changes in this new commit, you know what are the changes in new commit, and you are happy with those changes. You are now ready to merge the contents of the remote branch into your local branch. Okay, that means you're now trying to make your local branch exactly the same as your remote branch. So you're going to now ready to take all these two new additional lines, which is in your cast.txt, and you put it into the same cast.txt in your local branch, so you make them both identical. If you are ready to do that, the command to do that is this. We say git merge origin feature newcast. So you're merging from your remote tracking branch into your local branch. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that now. We say git merge origin slash feature slash newcast. So this will take the latest content from the remote branch and it will merge that into my local branch. And this is no conflict at all. This is a fast forward merge. So you can see there's instructions about this being a fast forward merge. And now if I do a git status, we can see, hey, there's no more problems. My local feature newcast is up to date with the remote feature newcast. So now they're both exactly synchronized. Okay, and you can actually verify that for yourself. Type git log --one line now. You can now see these are all the commits in your local feature newcast. So there are a total of 3 new commits now, or 3 commits altogether in your local feature newcast. And that's also exactly the same now. We can see for your feature newcast branch, there's exactly 3 commits there, right? Hang on. So we go to the feature newcast branch, we can see there's in fact 3 commits there. It's loading the commits. Yeah, and give it a second. Right, so we can verify that definitely it is the same. Yeah, so we can see there are 3 commits here, right? You can see the 3 commits here. We can also see exactly those 3 commits here as well. All right, so everything checks out fine. Okay, any questions? Okay, now let's go on to do the next part here. So the next part is the kind of the closing of the process. So far we have done a lot of communication between developer A, developer B. Now it is the end of the time. So end of the discussion is developer A will say, I am happy with all the changes you have made. So now all the changes made by developer B, they are ready to be merged back into the remote master. So this is the final ending point of all that entire discussion just now that we did, right? Because remember on the pull request, we had a lot of discussion, right? There was pull request here and we had all this discussion going on, right? You might call the discussion, right? So Victor Tan did this, then Mark Lerner requested changes, then Victor Tan updated. So all this thing was happening, right? Initially, Victor Tan opened the request, Mark Lerner made this comment, Victor Tan commented, Mark Lerner commented, Victor Tan commented, then Mark Lerner said, hey, I want these changes, and then Victor Tan updated. So all these things is happening. And let's say now, thankfully, the boss is happy. Mark Lerner is the boss. The boss is happy now. He said, okay, great, everything is fine. Now it is time, the code base is ready, your feature branch is complete. It is now time to merge your feature branch into your master branch. It's all done now. So how do we do this? Okay, so now we are ready to merge. So the first thing is to approve the request. Who is going to approve the request is the big boss. Who is the big boss here? The big boss here is developer A. The project lead is going to say, I approve. So let's go back to developer A's homepage. Go back to developer A's homepage. So this is developer A's homepage. She's going to click approve like that. See? So this means now, okay, this is fine. It's ready to be merged. It is ready to be merged. Okay, so this is approved now. Okay, so now we are ready to merge. Who is going to do the merging? Okay, so this one can be either one. The approval is normally given by the project lead, but the actual process of merging this new branch into your master branch can be done by either developer A or developer B. Okay, so either one of them can do it. Let's say it's developer A that does it. Okay, so developer A can go here, click on here, and can you see there's an option here that says merge? Can you see this option? All right, so this is where you actually do this operation. You merge the feature newcast content into your master branch. Okay, so go ahead now, go back to the web page for developer A. Okay, select this merge option, click on it, and then you will come up with this thing called the merge pull request. So this is the completion of the merge pull request. It is saying I'm going to merge from this source branch, which is the newcast branch. I'm going to merge it into my master branch, and this is the commit message. It gives you a default commit message. Okay, and you can either choose to accept this or you can change this. And by default, it will create a new merge commit. Even though if it's a fast forward merge, it will still create a merge commit just so that you know that a merge has happened. Okay, so let's say you're happy with all of this. Okay, you can change it so that you do a fast forward merge. Okay, but let's keep it as a merge commit. We keep it as a merge commit. Then we go ahead and click merge. All right, and so now the merge operation will happen. It says merge in process. The pull request is being merged in the background. You can safely navigate away, and then finally it is complete. So at this point of time, we can say that this pull request is closed. It is closed, completed. All right, it's completed because we have discussed it, we have agreed on the changes, and now we have merged. We have now merged your feature newcast branch into your master branch. Okay, so if I go back here and click on my pull request now, you will see it is totally empty. Okay, no more, right? Why? Because the previously open request is now completely complete, it's now merged in. So if you want to see all the pull requests, you click down here and you click all, and then you will be able to see that previous feature branch or that previous pull request, and now it will be marked as merge. Okay, it is now marked as merge. Okay, now to check to see how the merge looks like, we go back to our commits view here, and now take a look at the master branch. Take a look here. I want you to see carefully what's happened. Take a look here. Right, so we can see that the last commit on the feature newcast branch was this one, added to newcast by Victor Tan, and then finally we had one more extra commit in front. This is my merge commit. Okay, and this is the result of merging all these three commits back into the master branch. So now my master branch looks like this. Okay, and you can see these three things here, and this green thing here is just giving you the history of my master branch. So this is a merge commit here. So this tells you that these two things here were originally on the master branch. These three things here were originally on the feature newcast branch, and then I merged both of them together into one final merge commit. So you can see the history here. Okay. Okay, and also now we can go back to our source view now, and we can look at our cast.txt. We can see our cast.txt now basically has got the latest changes, right? We merged in the latest changes from a feature newcast branch, which is basically Perodua and Proton. So we can now see on your master branch, the latest commit there is that merge commit, which includes that two new changes.